Hey guys, what's up? It's Finch here. We're back with another OU tiering survey, this time for the month of November, of course. Before I go into this video and discuss the OU metagame, I do want to address some current events. I'm well aware that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl have been released. This video is being recorded at 10 p.m. on Thursday night, so it's not technically released by me, but it's on Pokemon Showdown now. It's released around most of the world, and it's coming to the United States soon. The latter is now playable. But I want to say specifically that the Smogon Charity Bowl is happening on noon Eastern Time on Saturday. This video should go up a couple hours earlier than that. I believe it's going to be going out 9 a.m. Eastern Saturday time. This is just a last reminder. If you guys are interested at all in that, or you guys want to help out a really amazing cause in the charity project, check out my last video. One of my last videos, actually, might be two videos before, but yeah, discussing that. Check out Smogon Charity Bowl. The link will be down below in the description. If you guys can join, it'd be amazing. You guys can donate a couple bucks. It'd be amazing. If you can't, obviously it's understood. But there's just so much fun things, so much in terms of fun things going on right now. We got obviously the BDSP release. We got OU tiering surveys. We got all sorts of hype surrounding new tournaments. Smogon Premier League's around the corner. Smogon Tour's in its playoff phase. Ton of amazing stuff going on. Lower tiers seeing all sorts of shifts and suspects, whatnot. Love that. I'm in the finals of a big draft league tournament. Maybe getting some uploads on that front coming forward. Just a lot going on. I'm really excited for everything that's happening right now. I just want to say thank you guys so much for supporting me through this time. And if you guys could check out the Smogon Charity Bowl, Saturday, noon Eastern. If you could play, amazing. If you could just spectate, I'll be streaming. I will be one of the people in the Twitch TV-SmogOnU doing a stream. I'll try and last 4 or 5 hours in a stream in a row like I did last year in the Charity Bowl. Last time we raised over $10,000. This time maybe a bit less possible to do that much, just because we're not in the midst of the pandemic anymore. Obviously it's still happening, but not as many people online at any given time. But I'd still love to raise a couple $1,000 and really help an amazing foundation. So let's hopefully do that. Anyway, I know you guys are here. You clicked this video to see OU tiering survey November, so let's talk OU. Bam! So last month we had a tiering survey. We touched on Kyurem, Dragonball, Magnapole, this, that, and the other thing. And I was like, yo, we are not quite sold on any suspects right now. Kyurem got a ton of support, but it wasn't quite over the threshold. We didn't have the council support, so I was like, okay, here's the best mid-ground. We're not going to rush into anything that we may or may not regret. But alternatively speaking, we're going to give the people the power to decide once more. We give people another month to gain their observations, maybe widen the pool of things we're going to include, and see if anything comes up as suspect worthy moving forward. So we waited another month or so, and with this quick turnaround, we're having another tiering survey. This also led a couple more weeks of ladder metagame development to come on, the Smogon Championship League regular season, and most of the playoffs to conclude as well. And I think we're in a better spot in the metagame than ever, honestly. I'm really happy. So let's go ahead and proceed. I'm going to respond to this like I responded. I always respond to the survey first because I'm the one who makes the survey, so I just respond right after before it goes public. But this is what I said and how I feel. You guys leave your thoughts down below in the comments. Feel free to message me on Smogon, on Discord, on Pokemon Showdown if you could find me. Any of your thoughts, I'd love to hear them. And with that said, I hope you all fill out the survey. The link, again, will be down below. You should get all of Saturday and Sunday to fill this out. So yeah. What is your Smogon forum name? Finchinator is my name. You see my email here, finchinator@gmail.com. You guys can always shoot me an email if you have any inquiries or any questions as well. I don't check it every day, but I try and check at least once or twice every week. So yeah. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you enjoy the current metagame? See, do you enjoy playing it? Now, here I'm stuck between a 7 and an 8. I do think it's more enjoyable than most metagame states. I think it's among the top, metagames we've seen this generation, but I also don't think it's like super great. I feel like it's been kind of a middling generation through and through. But I think 7 kind of captures how I'm at. If only because I feel like almost always the better player wins, but sometimes the better player has to do some sketchy strategies. We're not seeing as much, balance in bulkier teams. We're seeing more bulky offense and offense outright. And I feel like I kind of wish there was some more bulky games, but I think that's kind of a hot take because a lot of people were annoyed with how lethargic the metagame was, how bulky the metagame was at other points. So maybe this is a nice refreshing change of pace, but ton of hyper offense, ton of bulky offense. Even the games where you see things like Regenerator, a lot of times it's with Teleport and Future Sight, so that becomes a massive offensive threat, making a lot of Pokemon really challenging. Games still are going to draw out 40-50 turns. There's a lot of progress. I wish there was a bit more of a passive mode alternative to it, but I know it'll come out again, and I think we're overall in a space where the better player wins. I just wish we had a bit more variety, maybe. That's how I'd put it. So I'm going to put it at a 7. I think I would put it at an 8 if we saw a little more of that, but yeah. However, in terms of competitiveness, I definitely would put it at an 8. Kyurem definitely is something that you're hard strapped to cover. In addition, you could argue the same for Pokemon like Dragapult or Shifu Rapid, Heatran. But these Pokemon also have their checks. They all come with an opportunity cost. And all in all, I think that the metagame, there's a lot of push to maybe check things, keep things countered, but that push also comes with a certain, limitations surrounding them. You can only cover so much, so therefore it balances things out really nicely. I think it ties up well. I'm really happy with where we're at. I enjoy team building more than really ever before, to be quite honest, and maybe that's a bit more of an offensive team builder, but definitely happy with where we're at. What do you guys think? I think most people have been responding to 7-8 range, so I wouldn't be shocked if that's where the averages are, but we'll have to wait and see. Alright, so now, let's talk Pokemon. Which Pokemon should be banned? Which Pokemon should be suspected? Which Pokemon should we leave alone? Which Pokemon should we never touch with a 10-foot pole? Let's talk about Kyurem first and foremost. So Kyurem is a Pokemon that's very strong. The Never Melt Ice set, in my opinion, is far and away the best set right now. It is going to hit super duper hard. And, how do I put it? There are checks and counters to it. Blissey can check all the special sets. Obviously, Icicle Sphere via Never Melt Ice. Dragon Dance is going to deal with it, but Scizor is pretty much a universal check. Unless you're seeing the Rogue Rock Slide or the very rare Choice Spec Draco Meteor, Volcarona can do well too. But outside of those really Pokemon, I mean, even things like Slowking Galar, they can't really counter it long term. Especially Defense Tyranitar's got to watch out. Focus Blast obviously is pretty good otherwise. All in all, I think Kyurem is a bit too limiting in terms of counterplay. I don't think it makes the metagame unplayable. Absolutely not at all. You have to prepare for it, though, and the checklist for team building gets a little too thin due to its presence, in my opinion. I think it's one of the few things that, really breaks the ice, pun intended, in a bit uneven of a fashion, where it's a limiting Pokemon. And I don't like that. I feel there are other limiting Pokemon that come with a larger opportunity cost, i.e. less natural bulk. But Kyurem, not only is it able to, outrun and check some things, really abuse bulky waters, put them in their place, and even, it can outrun and threaten to one-shot Heatran and roost up on it, things like that. But also, it has enough natural bulk to where it's not a liability, ever. And, in my opinion, it's always going to carry it to play offensively unless it's facing something like Scizor, so given how mediocre, counterplay is, Scizor's not a very good Pokemon metagame right now in my eyes, and if we're not for Kyurem and Lele, it really would never ever see usage, so I think when you kind of warp the metagame in that fashion, you really got to think about it. And the other checks and counters to it, they just aren't that numerous. So therefore, I'm going to say Kyurem is generally imbalanced and I support being suspected. Now, I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to say it's outright broken and I support cheering action right off the bat. I would not quick ban it. I would not even have a council vote to quick ban it. I think that's ridiculous. That implies that there's some element of unplayability. There's some element that makes it so that the better player does not win more often than not. And that simply is not the case. It's not close to uncompetitive. It's not close to, blatantly broken. No, it's more fringe, and yes, I lean towards voting ban if there was a suspect right now, but that can change if some trends change, if, some certain Pokemon gain more viability in time, or Kyurem, faces more limiting factors. That's for sure. We were definitely at a metagame state a couple months back where Kyurem was not even on my radar, so these things can change within a matter of weeks, if not months, so do I foresee a Kyurem suspect? If it gets enough support, yes. Would I be absolutely depressed if it didn't happen? No. If the community doesn't support it, that's fine. I'm only one guy with one opinion, one response to the survey, one discussion among the whole council, and my opinion is not law. I do not dictate what happens, so we'll have to wait and see. Last time I voted the same thing, and Kyurem didn't get suspected. We did get another survey, though, so we'll have to wait and see. But I do maintain my stance that Kyurem is generally unbalanced, and I support it being suspected. Which most accurately describes how you feel about Dragapult and SSU. Now, Dragapult actually kind of fell victim to circumstance in this metagame, where I thought there was a point in time where the metagame was, hyper offensive teams really got railed by it, and Dragapult definitely forced certain things, a lot of Weavile fallback, but lately, bulky offensive teams have really adapted well to Dragapult. We're seeing more and more special defensive heavy slam Heatran, things like Clefable, albeit not great against the dual steel cores, do pretty well against it, and you're seeing more usage, a combination of Clefable and Tapu Fini, two Pokemon that check it pretty nicely. Pretty common. In addition to that, dark types are still very common. Things like Weavile. We've seen a little bit of research Tyranitar, and not much, but it's still, it's still viable enough. On top of that, we're seeing Blissey more than ever, mainly due to Kyurem, but also it's able to sit on things like, Slowking Galar, which is cool. And on top of that, I feel like Specs has actually seen a bit less usage for For instance, we've seen more like some expert belt sets, which, yeah, it sits on hyper offense and with the different coverage moves can just roast it, you know? You Shadow Ball like Weavile, oh yeah, I can check that easy. Weavile gets roasted by a flamethrower. Forget about it. Things like that. But that set, it can't do anything, you know? Even especially defensive Landers T could just sit on it. Shadow Ball doing 23% now, which isn't enough. Sorry. Take a sip of water. But also, things like AV Tornadoes T, which has seen a humongous surge in usage lately. A great initial pivot to it. And we're not seeing enough of like the physical sets either. The Dragon Darts variants, which I thought were really nice compliments to it. All in all, Dragapult is the epitome of really good but not broken. It is a bit of a limiting factor, but the way it limits the metagame isn't like changing the team building checklist and warping how we build our teams. You know, the viable pool of checks and counters and just general counterplay is more than enough. Especially with we're seeing more things like Zero Aura usages. Teams are focusing on chipping down Landers T, and suddenly late game Zero Aura looks great. Not only does Zero Aura one-shot it, but also was one of the few Pokemon that without a Scarf can outrun Dragapult, which is huge. And also, if you're using Zero Aura as speed control, you're not using Dragapult. So it overall it diminishes the viability, in my opinion, of Dragapult a little bit. Is Dragapult still a top 5 Pokemon? Without a doubt. Is Dragapult something that I would want to suspected a couple months back? Maybe, maybe not. It was definitely something I could understand someone getting behind. Now, though, I don't think it's there. Am I going to say it's entirely balanced or generally balanced? I'm leaning towards entirely balanced right now. I get it if someone says generally balanced, but I think saying you want a Dragapult suspect test right now means one of two things. Either one, you're using a lot of hyper offense and you don't have a dark type on your team, or two, maybe a little behind the times. I don't see it in the current metagame right now, and I'm saying it with all due respect. Dragapult has definitely seen better days, but it's still very good. It's just kind of in that fringe Lando T character. Obviously doesn't see the same amount of usage, but it's a very good Pokemon that provides a great deal of things. It's a revenge killer, it can be a potential breaker, and on top of that, it's, you know, a nice soft check to some Pokemon like Urshifu Rapid, but at the same time, it isn't really something that you see as outright broken. It's a nice check to offense, but offense has found more and more ways around it, or more ways to take advantage of it. Even if it's forcing a trade, then, you know, you still, if you can get enough offensive momentum after locking into a certain move, then you're in great shape. And hyper offense has kind of tailored itself around that, which I find to be really cool. So yeah. Next up, which statement most accurately describes how you feel about Volcarona in SSC? Now here is a Pokemon that I wanted banned a while back, and then Heatran came around and I was like, not so much. But now you're like, wait a second, do I gotta use Heatran on every team? I mean, I kind of do regardless of Volcarona, but like, damn, bro. And you know what, the answer to that is no. We see things like Aqua Jet or Shifu Rapid. We're seeing a little more Blissey, although Blissey's got to watch out for the safeguard set and whatnot. Hayes Toxapex with Blissey got out the set. I mean, we're seeing special defense Landers too with Toxic, which can, you know, at least check it. The list goes on. I mean, certain Dragonball sets, again, they're less common right nowadays, but they can check it. There are a couple other Pokemon. I mean, it really depends on the set, and that's what makes me wonder. Is the fact you've got to play around every Volcarona set a little too much when the only true universal counter is Heatran and Choice Band Aqua Jet from Urshifu Rapid. And to that I say, no, I don't think so, because containing it is really possible. When you see things like Special Defensive Landers T and Garchomp be so common, Urshifu Rapid is still as good as ever almost. Victini is popping up more and more. Dragonite's still pretty viable. You go down the list, Volcanion is actually really solid right now. I mean, rain teams are decent. You see an absolute abundance of Heatran. Heatran's on almost like every third team, it feels like nowadays. Tapu Fini, if it's not Giga Drain, also does very well against it, be it via Trick or via Calm Minding. Utility set's not as much, but yeah. Down the list, I mean, things like Gastron can check if it's like Giga Drain. Again, Holuchick and Revenge Cloud on Hyper Offense. Even if you go down the list of viable options, you could even argue with things like Crawdaunt, potential Revenge killing it. Obviously, Special Defense Tyranitar and Sand teams, again, not seeing its best days, but still, it's seeing a little more usage. And Blacephalon, you know, they could trick it, it could soft check it as well. If you want, I'm not really a big fan of that as a solution, but it's kind of like a stopgap, if you will. All in all, I don't think Volcarona is a suspect, but I do think it limits the metagame. I do think it warps how we play. I do think it contributes to a certain laziness in team building that leads to Heatran maybe seeing a little more usage than it deserves. Heatran's obviously an amazing Pokemon, but it also limits what you can do with Heatran. You know, you need Taunt or Toxic. You need one of those, if you will. And my sentiment towards Volcarona right now is that it's generally balanced. I would not support any Tyrion action, but At the same time, I would understand if someone was a suspect. I would understand if someone said it was entirely balanced. It really depends on what you use, how you view it. I've seen Volcanion completely demolish teams, you know. Evaporate would be checks because it has the right set, but I've also seen it just do nothing because it faces the wrong combinations of things. It's one of those Pokemon. It's an all or nothing Pokemon. Many people have dubbed it the matchup moth, and I am on that bandwagon. Is that a good thing? Probably not, but also I don't think it's enough to really necessarily necessitate, oh boy, tiering action at this point in time, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Next up, how does you act, which statement most accurately describes how you feel about Melmetal and SSU? Melmetal, really good Pokemon, not broken. I get it, people can kind of paranoid. It's fucking strong. Choice band, protective pads, whatever it is. Even Assault Vest and leftover sets are good. Or status, protect lefties, whatever it is. But a lot of potential counterplay to it. I mean, go down the list, you know, things like Corviknight and of course Skarmory as well. Slowbro's at an all-time high. Things like Volcarona do really, really well against it. There's an abundance of ground types that can pressure it. Magnezone with Iron Defense is able to 1v1 it basically always, unless it's like Choice Band or Earthquake. And Earthquake is almost never used anymore. It's usually Superpower plus Thunder Punch and offensive sets. A lot of things. It's also very prediction line. It's super slow. I feel that Melmetal is always really good at carrying its own weight. It's amazing at 1v1ing things, and it's excellent at picking in spots against offensive teams because they really lack counters to it. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't view it as necessarily a limiting factor. I view it as something that you could naturally prepare for almost always via offensive pressure on offensive teams. And you just got to say, okay, I'm probably going to end up, you know, trading with it more or less. Or maybe it'll reset momentum once or twice, but that's fine. It's not going to really completely devastate my game plan. It only really hard walls a couple of Pokemon. And a lot of the Pokemon, you know, things like Clefable or Kyurem, you know, can eventually outlast it. Things like Slug and Galar, one Flamethrower, and suddenly it's quite low. And, you know, I really do like Melmetal, and it's a very nice Pokemon. You could use it with Assault Vest to be kind of a soft special check on offensive teams. You could use it Choice Band to just, or Protective Pad to just wreck things with the right pivots on bulky offense and balance teams and so on and so forth. But it doesn't really have one definitive thing that it's super duper good at. It has no uber qualities to it. It's not a limiting factor. It's not something that necessarily puts the metagame in a different position than it otherwise would be. I just think it's a really balanced and good Pokemon. It's the epitome of, you know, a top 10, a top 12 Pokemon that has a good effect on the metagame, in my opinion, if anything. And I get a lot of people that are more anti-change and more offensive in the prep that maybe don't necessarily have natural answers to Melmetal and their team struggle with it, but with enough offensive pressure and a little adaptation, you definitely can be well off, in my opinion. And that's why we're seeing more things like Magnezone with Rocky Helmet or Choppleberry. We're seeing, you know, a lot of Volcarona on hyper offense and just dual ground type teams and stuff like that. A lot of ways to kind of minimize Melmetal. Not necessarily outright cold hard stop it like you would with Teacher versus Volcarona, but minimization. And I think that's a very valid form of counterplay, especially for a Pokemon this slow. Moreover, I'm going to say Melmetal entirely balanced. Now here is a fun Pokemon to discuss. Mew. Which statement most actually describes how you feel about Mew in SSU? Because this is like, wait a minute, Mew, isn't that like barely OU? Like, what's the deal there? I don't know. Did they really include this? And yeah, we've gotten an abundance, an overflow, a boatload, a surplus of complaints about Mew in the SSU metagame. It does a lot. I mean, it's got like weakness policy sets, lead sets. I don't really think any of them are too bad. It's got the stored power set. Potential body press, you know, with cosmic power. That's just annoying. Yeah, but I don't really think anything's broken about it. I think it's quite good, but I find it hard to say that Mew is broken right now. I find it hard to say it's not balanced. I think it's versatile, but every single set has a lot of counterplay. You have to be cognizant of what it can do, especially with the stored power sets. It can get out of hand pretty quickly, but at the same time, it doesn't have any one broken set. You definitely can prepare for it. There's ample counterplay, and I get it. The versatility is annoying. It is daunting, and it can, you know, potentially throw you off, but I don't see any argument for being broken right now. So, moreover, I'm going to go ahead and say it's entirely balanced like the last couple. And yeah, moreover, I think the only thing you can really push on right now for a suspect is Kyurem, so I'm curious to see where that goes. Moving forward, which statement else actually describes how you feel about Magnet Pull? Now, I discussed this before, I'll discuss it again. I think Magnet Pull warps the metagame in a weird fashion. I don't think you really build differently around Magnezone, but I think the way you play around Magnezone, the way Magnezone limits counterplay. You use things like Corviknight, Skarmory, Ferrothorn, Scizor, Melmetal, etc., you know, as key forms of defensive counterplay and offensive progress potentially. You use them as your defogger or as your spike setter. Use them as your breaker or your wall. Not being able to switch these Pokemon is a humongous issue towards gameplay. And you can say, okay, that's the opportunity cost you get with Magnum. You get that, and it works out, but you don't, and then it's kind of a dead slot. And that's not even true. Iron Defense Magnum actually is a pretty good Pokemon, but that's neither here nor there. We're looking at Magnet Pull, the ability and the effect it has in the metagame. And I think with Steel types being so prominent, being so effective, them not having the fundamental ability to switch right now is a humongous, hot topic. And in my opinion, it's generally uncompetitive. And I don't support a suspect right now. But I do think we should have an open discussion as a community. I think we should have a dialogue. Where do we draw the line with trapping? Is all trapping bad? Was Pursuit bad? Or is it just like the more widespread trapping, like Arena Trap and Shadow Tag? Is Magnet Pull okay despite those being not okay? Is Magnet Pull not okay? I need us as a community to maybe come up with more of a definitive response to this, because it's been really scattered. A lot of complaints about it this generation, even some last, more so this though. At this point in time, I'm going to put it generally competitive, and I support further discussion. I really believe we should have more discussion on this, and I'm curious to see where that goes. I don't think anything's going to happen immediately, but maybe in the distant future. I'll have to wait and see. So yeah. Alright, what statement accurately describes how you feel about Sandvale and Snowcloak and SSU? This is a new question, and I think this is a no-brainer for me. Sandvale has no place in our metagame. It should fall under Evasion Clause. It's pretty silly to sit around. Snowcloak, same umbrella, but yeah, Sandvale and Snowcloak, uncompetitive. I support cheering action, 100%, wholeheartedly. I get it, there's an opportunity cost. You can use other abilities, like Rough Skin on Garchomp. Sure, but man, it's just no place, It just encourages you to sub up. Oh, he's gonna miss this turn. It's dumb. It doesn't have a place in the metagame. It doesn't place better Pokemon. It's been banned in prior generations. We could definitely do without it here. I think that'd be an easy one. I hope this is a slam dunk, gets a lot of support. And then we don't even have to have a suspect. That'd be great. All right. Is there anything already not mentioned you'd like City Council? Nope. Any other suggestions? Nope. I do qualify via SCL and World Cup. And I don't have an alt top 150 right now. It's barely outside the top 300, I think, is my top alt right now. But yeah, I think that's about it. Those are my thoughts. What do you think about Kyurem, Dragonball, Volcanion, Melmetal, Mew, Magnapul, Sandvale, Snowcloak, and anything else we should discuss? Let me know in the comments. Feel free to respond to the survey. I'd really appreciate it. And hope you all have a great day. Again, be sure to check out the Smalgon Charity Bowl if you can on Saturday, and enjoy the BDSP release. Okay, bye guys. Have a great weekend. Later.